Joining us from Brussels is Annie Machon, a former MI5 intelligence officer and director of operations Code Red. Thanks for joining us, Annie. This is an extraordinary story, isn't it, from the intelligence perspective? What's your best bet? Was this some kind of kidnapping that went wrong? I mean, do you think the Saudis honestly could have sent a team to kill this guy in their consulate in Istanbul? It beggars belief, doesn't it?
It does rather, yes. But we have a situation in the world now where the Russians are being accused of using nerve agents in Britain and things like that, so who knows. What I find particularly interesting, though, is the fact that there seem to be indications that the US intelligence had warnings that some sort of attack might happen, and yet they didn't forward it on. And this is particularly interesting in terms of the channels through which these might have come, because this journalist, Jamal Khashoggi, worked for the Washington Post. The Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos, who's the founder of the Amazon.com. And Amazon.com also has this multi-billion deal to create secure cloud commuting for all of the American intelligence agencies. It started off with CIA, and it's gone on from there. So there are links behind the scenes between the Washington Post, with the American intelligence agencies, all that sort of thing. And of course, as well, there are the links between Saudi and US business interests. So how anyone can try and unpick all these links is it's a very tangled skein, I think is the best way of putting it.
We're well aware, aren't we, of the huge business links, Donald Trump was referring to them, between the US and the Saudis. There's also a lot of Saudi investment in Turkey. It puts the Turkish government in a very difficult position, this, doesn't it?
It can do, yes, and particularly, of course, because Saudi has been used as a cat's paw by the US for a sort of proxy war against Iran in Yemen over the last few years too. And also there's the increasing problems between Saudi Arabia and Qatar, which is now cutting deals with Iran and with China for energy deals. So in terms of what's going on in the Middle East, it's a very difficult web to try and pick your way through, to try and understand. But I think it's clear that if the American intelligence agencies had some sort of prior warning about what might possibly happen, or might possibly have happened, to Jamal Khashoggi if he went into the Saudi embassy in Turkey, there would be very clear reasons why the American authorities would choose not to share it. They can be very basic, such as not giving away the source of how they got that information, be it technical or human source. But it can also be, of course, for diplomatic reasons in terms of their relationship, their arms deals, all the rest of it with Saudi Arabia, and the ongoing escalation of tensions between America and Iran.
There is interesting pressure growing from the Senate, of all places, for the administration to perhaps have a second look at how close it is to Saudi Arabia. I mean, if Saudi culpability becomes more difficult to deny, let's say, do you think there will be some sort of realignment between the US and the Saudis? Can the US afford to have friends like that?
I think the US administration would see that it can't afford not to have friends like that. The arms deals that are being cut, not only between the US and Saudi Arabia, but also, of course, the UK and Saudi Arabia, are too valuable. And this is why what is effectively a theocracy keeps getting away with human rights violations. So I can't see that that would change anytime soon, just because one journalist, even if he was working for the Washington Post in America, might have met a sticky end. I think it's admirable that the Saudis are being allowed to be involved in the investigation, along with the Turkish authorities. But who knows what the outcome's going to be.